Hello everyone and welcome back to TMS Studios. It's Generic here, and as promised we're going to be starting our course on how to create assets for mobile games. Now if you're new here, feel free to like and subscribe, the whole YouTube stuff. Anyway, what we're here to discuss for today's video is the very first step before you get down to modeling, texture painting and all the fun stuff, and that's concept arts. And in this video, we're going to be discussing very important things such as your concept art, the platform which the game is going to be developed on, and the type of game. Now, for the kind of game we're focusing on for this specific course is an endless runner kind of game. And as you can see, this is just like a quick draft board I have open here. Nothing too serious, because not in every case it was need something extensively detailed. Most of the time, concept arts serve as guidelines. Okay, fix this, fix this, fix this. In certain cases, you'll be given specific concept arts to follow strictly, and in some other cases, you could be provided with something very, very basic aspect. We want a general concept like this. Now, this project was actually sent to us, actually a client's project, and it was given to us by Evolution Studios. Their link will be in the description. Before we get into the video officially, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Nox Studios. They've been reproducing mobile games in 3D format, which has been great. I saw Danger Dash there among other games, so you could go check them out just to see what some of these games reimagined in 3D would be like. And who knows, maybe the studios might pick interest and say, hey, maybe we're going to remake one of these fun games from the good old days. Alright, now to the video. Why are concept arts important when working on any project, any form of artistic project? Concept art and references, because concept art in the way serve as references, and in this case we needed it for guidance, because what we're given for reference was very, very, very basic. It said wanted a sci-fi style stuff, alien planet, and I kid you not, this is basically what we're given. Alien planets, endless runner, side-scrolling endless runner, i.e. Kong Survival Instincts kind of stuff. So, okay, not a lot to work off of, but we weren't necessarily given a hand-drawn concept, so that kind of gave us a bit more freedom to navigate. Now, newsflash to anyone: the more details you can provide about your game, the better. But because in this case, we have to really go a bit back and forth on how to address things. So, more often than not, it depends on your level of experience with modeling, texturing, and also being able to relate to what the client is requesting. Now, in this very, very specific case, we had to come up with a very quick draft, and they specifically requested models, not concept art. So basically, everything you can see on my PureRef board here was just strictly in-house stuff. And that's why I didn't really go to create any concept artists. These are even basic pencil sketches. So I told him, alright, just let's see what it looks like, And some of them, he just snapped them, took a screenshot, and then like this one over here, this is Master Chief. This was not our concept. Anyone that knows Master Chief has played Halo would know Master Chief. And because it's supposed to be like a survival style, endless runner kind of thing, of course, sci-fi, mech kind of thing. Halo is a very, very good, great game actually, because it also deals with fighting of aliens and all that. Let's go a bit up here and see the first kind of reference I got. And now these were the predominant three I sent over to the concept artist and just told them, hey, just draft out something similar like this, adventurer style, rage guy, and everybody knows Doomslayer. This Doomslayer, not Doom guy, Doomslayer, because to all my gaming geeks in the comment section, I know it's Doomslayer, not Doom guy. And over here we've got Guy Dangerous. Like, he basically was the one that made Endless Runner's famous Temple Run. Anyone? So back to the concept. Now, this look very wonky. They look like hieroglyphs with two left legs and all that. Yes, we know. We come up with a much better concept in a much better time. But for this one, I just needed something to at least get a feel of what I'd be looking at. What am I looking to get? Now, out of every concept I got from here, one of the things that piqued my interest the most was this mask. I felt, okay, if this guy is going to be on an alien planet, supposed to be scientist kind of geek, you should be able to at least come up with a mask to help filter the air. And what I also went for wasn't something entirely like fully mech suited like this one. I figured if we're going to be creating a character, it's supposed to be an endless runner, which means he's in survival mode. He's not going to have time to start pausing to suit up. Although in certain games like Dead Space, which was part of our references for the environment, he actually did have time to suit up. But even at the beginning, you realize he was like in a bodysuit strapped So in this case, I predominantly picked interest in the mask, which was one, and then this part-like bracelet from here, a little bit of the belt design over here, just to get something very basic and know what we're going to work with, those of us that are handling the modeling area. And let me move over to the characters spreadsheet over here so you can see what I'm talking about. Now this was the first one I sent back to the client. Okay, this is the basic outline for what we're kind of going for. So you can see there's a little bit of Nathan Drake influence in it because Nathan Drake is also a smart kind of person, he goes on adventures, but I kind of mixed up with a little bit of sci-fi, like almost like a walkie-talkie, but this is more like an air regulator connected to something on his back, but there was no picture. Like, this is the final project over here, we're going to get down there soon. But you can see I pulled the mask from the reference, but this guy is not like a super soldier like Master Chief, and he's not some divine entity like Doomguy. So they can't necessarily not just breathe wherever they are. He's gonna need something to clean up the air, which is why he has this thing on his back. It kind of extracts the oxygen from the environment and takes into the mask. And this is where concept art really helped out, because okay, this is mechanized, it's what's supposed to be like, and because we're supposed to work on 3 characters, yes, this is just the first character. The other characters we're going to be taking you along through the concept art stage and the modeling stage with them. These mech suits really did come in handy for the other concepts which we're going to share next week after this course, which should be 2 weeks time actually. Wow, we're going to be uploading videos with a 3-day interval so we can get everything done and everyone can follow along carefully. Any questions or any suggestions can be dropped in the comments and would gladly read them and get back to you. But back to the concepts. Now, you see how a reference board like this, Master Chief, you can clearly see a bit of his influence over here and pieces of his suit somewhere around here like this. Doomguy, and this is clearly a Doomguy influence, this one over here, which was I mean, I didn't really sit too long with the concept artist because I needed something very quickly out. We're on a short time frame and we had to deliver. So references guide your workflow. They provide more like checkpoints where, all right, with a reference like this, I want to achieve this from here, achieve this from here, and achieve this from here. How then can I get everything to work together in unison? And this is where references kind of guide you. Okay, I think first step I'm going to get to is I want to get a character. Average build, he's not like a full-blown soldier kind of person. Of course, if you're going to go on a space mission, you must have a little bit of training, especially when you're suspecting there could be life on the planet. It could be hostile life. That is why he's slightly built the way he is. So he does have training with Python. And a little bit of a pouch, a little bit of geeky kind of thing. He'd want to take samples. There's some mechanical vials that are there. And then you can see another pouch over here kind of handling an equipment which he uses for gauging things and checking out the environment. But also keep in mind that this is where platform does become very important. What platform is this game going to be on? Because if you zoom in over here, you can see there's barely any detail. And I created this outfit, this shirt and straps, as well as this bracelet over here, pants, the belts, and the pouch. Created all that in Marvelous Designer. And the reason for that is after the reference, I figured, okay, Marvelous Designer will give me a little bit of this slight wrinkles I see here. This minor details that might not really seem like much, but you won't be able to get them if you're just modeling straight, because this game was meant for a mobile phone. So anyone who knows anything about modeling for mobile phones, or has played the game on a mobile phone, you realize that they are quite low poly. And the reason for that is RAM and graphics. Phones do not have the kind of graphical computing power that a system or a console would have. So there has to be a lot of balance between topology, count, and texture resolution, which is where references also become important. Again, which parts of this concept is most important, which parts can be forgone, or which parts can be texture painted on. So this is like the basic model over here, and this was before I retopologized it into what I used over here, which still gave me out, brought out the normals because I had to bake textures. But from the reference, I knew, okay, if I was going to get something like this, and as you can see over here, this was part of the first concept where the client was like, no, we don't like the glasses, just take off the glasses. So We did, and that's when we came back to this one over here. The reason for going through this whole process of back and forth, checking for references and all that, is to ensure that your game matches the style. A lot of the time, sometimes we watch movies or play games and it feels like the character is disconnected from the environment, and this is where the environment becomes important again with references. We've got Halo, we've got Doomguy, but what we have down here for the other references, you can see some of them are just screenshots from mobile phones, which I just basically took for, okay, I did very, very quickly. I just want to see how the output was going to be. And you can see Dead Space had a huge influence on this here. Some parts were Halo, some parts were Dead Space, but predominantly Dead Space. Because Dead Space matched more of what we were going with, something eerie, something scary, something more survival. As you can see, like the blood trails on the floor and all that. It's also quite represented here over on his body. If it's a survival game, he has to look like he's in survival mode and he has seen some kind of things. And the environment, especially this one was a huge influence. This one and where is it? This one over here, particularly this power cell. Now, what really motivated a lot of this was, okay, mechanical stuff, underground, which was a huge part of the prompt we're given. It has to be has to have an underground vibe. You understand? Let it look alien because it was supposed to go from underground to the surface. So as it's taking its time from the underground, surface is going to the top, and that was what it was supposed to represent. So this was more of a mining facility kind of stuff, which is pretty similar to Dead Space, ironically, until they found the marker, I believe. So with something like that, and if you, as you can see, this panel over here actually did also have a bit of an influence on the concept we worked on for the environment. So we'll take a look now at the environment in Blender, and as you can see over here, this is just a part of the environment that will be instanced. You can see the power cell and this somewhat stretched strobe lights over here, and that's because part of the mechanical equipment was damaged, so the panels are ripping off. These are large aliens are fighting, so these things are pretty powerful. You can see some sort of power source column over here with some signs and all that. And you can also see this control panel, like I said, was hugely influenced by that circular panel back on my PureRef board, which is this one over here. But because this was supposed to be on a mobile platform, there was really no point in going all that detailed with things. And this is another point of concept art and platforming. When you know the platform your game is going to be on, you know the direction to take when approaching the game. So this is very, very important. Now, you know the steps to take in building your concepts, you know the steps to take in making things work. As to how most of this is going to be approached, now it's heavily dependent on what your client wants or what you want if you are the artist trying to create it. So looking back at the reference board over here, we know wanted something mechanical, we know wanted something that was going to look sci-fi-ish, and this is how we took the approach to it. We got the references for that, and we didn't really go too crazy over the references because this was more of a mobile game that was going to be locally. A lot of these things were really going to be seen, except for the major points, like as you can see here in Blender, you can see things like the power cells. If you build, let's take a step out, and now this is like spawned, the spawn, what every single aspect that's going to be spawned, and this, you can see them when aligned beside each other. It's pretty long row. Anyway, when looking at this, you come to the conclusion that yes, references can be pretty important, but must I create a reference becomes the next question. And your reference mustn't be exceptionally detailed like what we have here. I mean, this is about as bare bones as you can get with a reference, but the reason we chose this is because this reference just goes to show that, okay, a concept art can guide you, a reference point will streamline your work. It's basically going to prevent you from running from what we say, you're running from pillar to post, okay, running back and forth, and that is what references guide you not to do, okay, and then things start to look discombobulated and not connected. So I hope this helped, and hope to see you in the next video, which we're going to be talking about modeling. Take care and have a nice day.